I can't remember exactly what your week was like other than the quad at the end, but to make it
That would
interesting.
help for
Oh, and the
sure.
doubleheader Blue Marlin too. That too.
And how did it start out? Like, what was the origin story?
Too much alcohol.
Really? Okay.
Says if God wanted us to have fiberglass boats, he would have given us fiberglass trees.
It's for fishermen. It's not for taking the wife and the wife's friends.
I think that it's a really, really pretty bit.
And then there was a blur that went by and ended up in the cockpit, as far as if I can remember correctly.
Hey everybody, back here on the State of Sport Fishing, presented by the Billfish Company and Hook Optics. I'm Anthony from Hook Optics and the captain of the Blood Money out of Ocean City, Maryland. Today we got John LaGrone, legend in I know John as a legend in Costa Rica. I'm sure he's much more than that. But John, I really appreciate you joining us, man. That you guys had a heck of a week on the Galati boat.
Yeah, it was great to get back connected on my team after being a year away with with the Burrs and the Ohana. I missed them terribly.
Yeah.
I missed my coach Ed Bird telling me, you could do this, you're made for this, you're born for this day. And Austin, screaming from downstairs. I'm sure you could have heard him all the way back on the DAC, the way he goes. Just the whole everybody, Denny and of course my great friend Nick Galati, I had invited last year to be with us. It was, but I was so proud of them, and I knew they were going to do great.
Yeah.
When I saw my friend Greg from the Sortudo from Cabos and Lucas walk down the dock, I'm like, oh shit, this guy's a freaking expert at sonars, and I'm basically set up to be the sonar guy with Tony, who I've fished with since '04 or something like that. And I know I was going to take a beating when I got on the boat. It did, and but man, I was so proud of those guys in the Ohana. They did great. They did a great tournament.
They were fantastic.
Oh,
so let's just start there. We'll do a different format today since we just finished up the Los Sueños series and we were both occupying the same position on the boat, which is the sonar guy. So I want to get your thoughts on all that. So but you were on the Galati boat with Captain Tony and Carmine and Pat Healy and Smalls and the rest of the rather large group you guys have.
It's too, and having the twins on there too. Eric and Greg McDowell, those guys are so solid. They're always overlooked because they just stand over there and do their job all day long. But Eric and Radar are incredible fishermen, the both of them, and so different, but yet so solid. Yeah, it's just they have a solid team. I think it's so important to keep the same guys. It's nice about fishing with family, as they can't really escape and say, "Oh, I got this going on." No, I know what you're doing. I know where you're at. So I know where you live. And it's kind of similar with Pat and our group and Carmine. I was really glad to get back connected with my team, and we had a lot of fun.
Good, man.
A lot of fun.
It's important.
And there's Smalls.
Yeah. So it seems like for as successful as you guys are, you seem to keep it pretty lighthearted and fun, which is, I think is the best way to go about it. And is if you can do that, kind of keep that recipe,
I think it's really important to keep a light. We're so serious though, and it's got to be so. You know how critical it is to be as precise as to be the best you can be. It's not easy to keep it light, So it's a really fine line that you walk, not to have anybody explode. And then there's Smalls, yelling at everybody. So then there's that kind of factor involved in the whole deal.
I feel like Thomas Garmany Smalls is kind of like my Uncle Bill. They just can't seem to. When cool heads need to prevail, and I've never really fished with Smalls, I've just heard the story. When cool heads might need to prevail, they just are not there.
I've never read. They never read that book.
No, not at all.
But he's right on every point he makes, and he's such a monster fisherman. Incredible set of eyes and moves like just fast. I hate to say, he reminds me of me as a young guy. Running around. I used to call myself the solid blur when I was making as a kid. And I'll tell you what, that guy moves fast. He has got a great set of eyes, a great fisherman.
Yes.
Unbelievable, that guy.
Yeah, super talented.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your week. You guys ended up second, but that's I didn't you guys are always in the it seems like you guys start off like catching a couple fish in the first hour and then you're kind of rolling, but I can't remember exactly what your week was like other than the quad at the end, but to make it interesting.
That would help.
And the doubleheader Blue Marlin too. That too. So
both of those came right after the move, Anthony, too. Where we had made a move late. We just kept waiting and tried to be patient and sit on our spot. and we only fished between two places basically the whole tournament, and they both had very different circumstances, and to choose between the two at the right time of day. We look over our spots when we're going there. We're hunting around. Not a lot of jumping, as you saw. The easiest sign. What do you look for? Well, I look for jumping fish. You're like, yeah, right, sure, buddy.
Yeah.
But didn't see a lot of that kind of life. There was some bird life, which was important. And I think you bring all those factors in together and work as a team, especially Tony and I. And not having Steve there was a big deal because he is so informative. And Steve Lasley and his methodical way of going about that. This is what I see. This is what I'm going to tell you what I see. And his skills as a binocular fisherman are just unsurpassed. He can hold on to those things at 3,500 knots and in a wind and so, there's one wagging his tail over there and there's something jumping over there. Yeah. I think you have to put every piece of the puzzle together, too, and having a really great tower guy too, and Danny Pettit, who works for Eric McDowell, at Christie Insurance, and they've been together since 19. I've been fishing with them. I did in 2010. I fished with these guys, and that was kind of Carmine's introduction into it, and we did really well. We ended up winning, thank goodness, and so we just kind of been going from there. Stoked to be back with them. Guys are awesome.
I fished there a fair bit, not nearly as much as you and a lot of the people that fish that tournament, but it seemed like this year was leaving as early as you could really important, because the ocean for the most part to me on the surface looked pretty the same. Mundane. So you had to go to actually where you thought and use your electronics and slow down and use your eyes to try and figure it out, whether you wanted to start there or whether you might want to run to another spot and then come back there later in the day. How important is just getting out there and doing the pre-fishing first, and then also getting out as early as you can and scouting on the day?
Yeah, it's very true. Both of those have two different really important factors of being successful, is your pre-fishing and believing in what you did too. Because we get a lot of reports and people are telling you numbers and where they caught them, where they did this and where they did that. And if your pre-fishing kind of is your telltale sign that there is something there, and it changes so fast, as that and the fact that getting out there early in the morning to still cover your grounds, because we probably started looking 20 miles into it, and never stopped the whole time. And whether it's binoculars or radars or three of them, when it was all three of us on the bridge with Steve, Tony and myself, three guys going with binoculars the whole way out. Just any little sign's a big sign. Yeah. That's the difference in the ocean than it is fishing in a lake or a trout stream or something like that. Yeah. So very, very important to be out there looking. It doesn't have to be in the same direction as somebody else. It's nice to be first. I saw that. I thought the second day seeing the board party where those guys, I saw he had sat down, and I know that he's a runner. He'll run from spot to spot looking good, great fisherman. Brandon's, really talented, but I could see that. I was like, oh man, that sucker sat down right there, right pretty close to one of our areas. I'm like, he saw something, he was looking at something. And being on the sonar, if you're turning around like we used to do back in the day, we're running all around with our depth recorder, hoping to see some bait or maybe mark a couple fish and hope to see a free jumper. Man, stop the boat, Yeah. But this whole sonar thing is just a whole different program. You don't want to churn it up. But you start seeing stuff, you're like, okay, stop messing around. This is what we want to see. Yeah.
What do you feel like the sonar has switched the style, the way that people fish? It seems like instead of, and especially this year,
I kind of wonder how I caught anything without it.
That's I kind of see, because you really realize like how close you actually have to be in the grand scheme of the ocean. It's literally like right on top of the thing to get a bite. It's really incredible to have that perspective.
I do it before? How did I just drive around and stay on some numbers? I'm pretty precise about my numbers at depth always, but this whole sonar thing, man, if they're 25 feet over there and you get a bite, are you kidding me? Yeah. And as you see too, Anthony, as the more you do it and the more I do it, you see how much fish are really everywhere. And there's times when they're going to bite, and there's times when they don't, and there's times when you don't even know what they are.
Yeah. And I was getting to a point like, traditionally you would go out and you'd look for signs on the surface, and then you sit down and use your bottom machine, and you're like, oh, marking bait and stuff like that. It didn't seem like that was quite the case, at least. And this is the first time that I'd spent much time on the bridge in Costa Rica, so I don't really have much of a perspective beyond this. But from the people that I talked to said instead of hunting for the condition that might hold fish, you just hunt for the fish, just look for the fish themselves. It seemed more.
I get you, but see, I don't feel like that at all. I think
Okay.
if you don't combine what you learned and know as a natural fisherman, if you lose those skills, the other skills, you don't need them at all.
Yeah.
Then it could be anybody driving around in there. But you gotta be able to use those receptive skills, and I think a major factor too is doing your pre-fishing on the computers and watching your sea temperatures and believing in what you know. And I mean, there was a difference between 3 degrees and 5 miles during that tournament the whole time.
Yeah.
And if in the second day it wasn't there, second day was a little bit warmer, so we had to do some moving around to find that. What I like to see exactly, that it was a certain temperature that I want to see, knowing that what I felt last year, because that was probably one of my, after 30 years of being here, that was my best blue marlin fishing I'd ever had trolling.
Yeah.
Just free range fishing, not around our fads, which is a whole different program. Not easy either. But still an incredible fishery, and it just looks the same this year. It's a third. I've never seen in my whole career here a third La Nina sitting here. Won't leave, which is a cool water phenomena. For us to see during a temperate day like you saw, or slick calm, maybe 84.5 degrees. That should be 87, 88 in mid-January, late and early February. It should be up there a little bit warmer that throughout the day. You see rain in the morning. Cool, we're happy about that. Keeps a little bit, not the convection isn't as involved in water temperature, but the amount of life that was out there, you just probably saw the first day we went out, you saw birds. Second day out, not so much. Third day up, there they are again, but not as much. The first day, like the ladies tournament day, the Tuesday, did you fish that also?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And we ran down to where we basically fished a tournament at, and birds were flying everywhere. So it was like, better sit right here. They seem to always bite really good on the ladies' day.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe having only a dozen or 14 boats out there versus 40 something is probably.
Oh, as well as I do, that pressure's not helpful.
Yeah.
I know they can't think because of their brain size, but I know intensely, that they feel the pressure and they move. They don't like to be run over all day long. We like it fresh.
Yeah.
And they don't like it when it's raining or rough. We're tropical sails. We like it sunny and hot out here.
Yeah. Get my feathers up on the surface and do.
Oh yeah,
just relax there.
We'll call it putting your hair stuck up or something like that. Yeah, it's crazy.
Can you recap the tournament for you guys, just day by day, if you don't mind, because it got pretty intense there at the end. But you gotta have the context for the whole tournament.
I think for our first day, I believe we caught. You always have to have your number of sails. But if you're not catching marlins in this thing, it's really hard to catch up, with that 2 or 3 marlin thing. Then you're talking about 16 sailfish you got to catch.
Yeah.
And there's that John Bayless is going to be catching more than everybody. He is just a fantastic 1x1 fisherman, and 1x2, 1x3, and him and Mahoney out there, and John Duffy. So you better hope that you can find those marlins and believe in what you're doing. To be able to fish for them, not really that much different spread wise, but location wise. And I think that Austin, did a insane job of sitting where he sat. He never moved basically the 3 days. He would go and sit somewhere for a little while, but he'd come right back to his spot and believed in what he was doing. And man, it paid off. And he wasn't even there Wednesday. Neither one of us were.
Yeah.
It wasn't where the marlin fishing basically was. And I think it was a little bit better further west than us, because I think that water temperature held color a little bit longer.
Okay.
You saw that on your depth recorder too. You saw maybe that 506 foot bait. Did you see that stuff? That 500 foot bait, 600 foot bait?
Not a lot, but that might explain something.
See, so many little things that we see that we try to factor into everything.
Yeah. So what did you guys end up on the first day?
I think we caught 3 blue ones the first day too.
Okay. So you were second, second, right?
Third, I believe we were third the first day coming in there. I think Fish Tank had us by a couple or something like that.
Okay.
Having been horning out there, and him on somebody else's boat. It wasn't even his boat. The guy's amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible fish run. Yeah, they sure did.
And you said, you got to catch the sails, but if you don't catch the marlin, and there were a handful of boats that did really well with the sails that either didn't capitalize on the marlin or just didn't see the marlin. And I mean, I guess when the fishing's more marlin oriented, the fact that you've caught more fish doesn't necessarily mean that you've acquired the most points. You know what I mean? And it makes
It's so hard.
It changes the
to handle
game.
that too.
Yeah, yeah.
It's no question about it. I think that's where the sonar does pitch in a lot of it, where going in a circle, knowing that you're going to get another bite in the next circle, or the following one, or staying really tight on what you're doing, or following the fish as they move west, south, or east, depends on the day. Sailfishing, man, you can capitalize on that using your skills and not so much sonar. But that blue marlin guy, man, he likes his conditions, how he sees them. They come from everywhere, that's for sure. As you can see, as you can hear the reports on the radio, the blue marlins would start biting a little bit better. There were fewer sails being caught, and when the blue marlins would start coming on, fewer sails being caught. It's kind of strange how that's always been like that here.
And when that happens, can it happen in the same area that you're fishing? And can you beat it up and be like, and just does it happen on a tide change or something like that? Or
sure, I think a tide change is really important. We had we had lows really early in the morning until the last day where we started on a low tide and a slack tide actually at 8 o'clock and waiting for a high tide. And I wish all day long it was some kind of tide change. That force is so incredible in the ocean. It's really important to see that and be in the right place for it too. Think about, okay, this is where I want to be on that tide change. And we always try to place ourselves in a place where we're going to succeed as compared to like we're going to fail here. We're here, but we can run there in 15 minutes. I always try to get away from that. You want to be in our best place first.
Yeah.
And
does the say the spot isn't a secret? Do you still stay dedicated to the spot even though maybe there's other boats? Do you have faith in yourselves that you guys can fish it better?
I think so. I think we can stay as long as we're not in a crowd of boats. Tony has never been a guy who's fished in the crowd. He's always fished by himself. The last day of tournament, watching Scotty Jones, where he's only like 2 miles over there. I'm like, he's got another one. He just caught another one. I just caught a blue marlin.
Yeah.
He's right over there. We run by him, and I thought he set it up perfectly. I was like, we were talking about, should we stop? I was like, I don't think so. Let's just go sit up on some of our numbers we'd seen him at before here. And lo and behold, outside my area of looking for my sonar, I saw a little mark right there. I'm like, let's go ahead and turn on that and see what it looks like. You got to see if they develop, as we call it.
Yeah.
And it started developing and coming over there. I'm like, God, that's either a group of bait or it's going to be a family of them. And lo and behold, it was a family
of sails. That was the quad.
Yeah.
At the end
that
of
was
the
the
day.
quad. Yeah.
Gotcha. So
similar to the blue marlin the day before. It was like the same thing. Right at the end of the day, saw this one little mark. It kind of separated and involved a little bit, just kept working on it and went over the top of it. Man, oh man, they acted really nicely too. They both jumped the same direction and both nice fish on 20 pound. I mean, it's a 30 pound line, but it's still a 20.
Yeah.
And to have them go the same way is always a great deal.
Yeah, that was badass. The doubleheader blue marlin on the second day was when we heard that. Me and Clem just kind of shook our heads, and because whoever there's the boats that like you guys work really hard at it, and you and Tony have it kind of figured out. You kind of know you guys are going to be up there, and then the max bet last couple of years they put in just a ton of work down there, and you kind of know that they're going to be one of the boats that are in the hunt. And there's a 10 or 15 boats that are like seriously capable of winning, and it seems like you just know when you hear that over the radio, you're like, oh well, yeah, of course I got another one, because that's just what they do. I mean, coming from how we were seeing it.
But it's really half and half the fleet, because on any given day anybody can put it together, right?
Oh yeah.
That's what's the biggest and the beautiful thing about it. But to put it all together day after day, it's a little bit more complex. A lot of people walking in the office here. Hello. And so to put it in day after day after that, it's a little bit more complicated. But I think fishing in your spot where you're by yourself is you got to be confident.
Yeah.
And it's so important to be confident in what you're doing and how you're doing it. And
is it easy for you guys that if your spot doesn't produce, like say just lines in, and Duffy and Bayless, catch 3 sails real quick, like somewhere else? Are you guys that confident, or do you guys audible because of what you're hearing, or it's important
to listen to the radio and
how does that manifest?
And this whole Starlink thing has kind of changed the whole deal with the texting going on there, where people aren't talking to the radio as much as they used to. where they're using their Starlink to communicate with each other. Honest communication is a really big help for that kind of stuff. If John Bayless or John Duffy catch a triple anywhere, you figure they could do that in their backyard.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
true. Yeah.
But if they continue picking at them, that you got to pay attention. Somewhere in that area, there's fishing.
Yeah.
And you hope that all the other guys go in there and crowd them over, so that it kind of ruins their bite a little bit. That's what we hope for.
Then you just
being a white boat every time, it's kind of hard to pick you out of that crowd.
Yeah.
As you know, you just look like another Viking, and we're just moving around. But yeah, there's a time of day where you got to move, and it's really, how many times have you moved? It's caught a fish right when you stopped. I mean,
yeah.
If you sit there and suck on it, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. It's
kind of a funny balance, between the sitting and being patient, or what you're looking at and say, okay, this is going to happen later.
That tournament,
tradition helps a lot too.
Yeah, that tournament, I kind of summarized it as just a bunch of calculated risk, because that tournament series with the level of competition, but also with the quality of the fishing in that area, it seems like you can't just, if you're just catching fish and catching enough to kind of be at the top end of things, is two different things down there. A lot of places like Ocean City, where I do most of my fishing, is where I base most of my thinking off of. It doesn't necessarily, very, very rarely is it like, oh man, like I'm falling behind, where down there it seems that you could be catching, and then somebody could just, whether it be sails or marlins, depending on the conditions of the year, it seems like you could just be catching, and you kind of like get in your head that I'm getting bites, but I'm not getting bites like whoever is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it could be. And it's so hard here with the level of competition here and the people out there fishing. Amazing amount of one wrong turn, 15 miles over there, and you're out. Yeah. And you can't catch back up because, Lauren Christensen, they don't miss anything, and can't you miss one, Judy and John that on the Duffy's boat? I mean, it never happens. So that they're not going to fall apart fishing wise. And location is to me, it's all about location and putting together a team that believes in themselves and confident. I mean, I was like, most of my crew is the major factor in what we do. They can sabotage you, or they can make you look great by just the little tiny things that happen in fishing, because it's so calculated. It's very similar to baseball to me. I was a baseball kid, and on my whole career, that I watched the little tiny things make the big puzzle. My father always explained to me, who I grew up fishing with, that it's a mathematical equation. If you put a plus where the minus should have been, you're out. You're going to miss the problem. And so sometimes just the little tiny things make the big difference. This tournament's so hard to day by day to. I mean, the Vaquero, there are just so many great boats,
and
all
now
of them,
after Los Sueños has been there for a long time now, so a lot of those guys they're not just showing up. They've been there for a while, and it seems like some boats. It didn't ever seem to me that it was somewhere that somebody could go and just start being competitive right away. It seemed like a type of place that you got to go, you got to put your time in and figure it out. And really
one of those boats would have been, like, for this year, would have been Taylor Hanson's boat there.
He was
Bolivia. First time ever coming here. Came in here. He sat where we were fishing together. We ran away. He sat right there and stayed there like a good fisherman that he is. And catching 17 the first day. What a great first day. And then he was confident in what he was doing already from his pre-fishing and his talent of his crew and his boat. They kept him sitting, and he sat in the right places. I mean, I don't believe in that. I think some of these guys come here and they do great right away. I mean,
I got you.
Because of the quality of fishing. And they're able to go pre-fishing. Rob Mahoney, it just goes across the board. Hans on his boat, the Outage, you couldn't even keep up with him this whole year. I mean, my God, I caught 3 blue marlins, had a great day. This guy caught 8, Again, are you kidding me again? And then during the tournament, he had a tough tournament, but that doesn't mean tomorrow is going to be. I mean, it's just an incredible, so many great crews is what I'm trying to say, and a great fishery. So at any given time, anybody can be on it. That's for sure. You can go the other way. I mean, Bill Royster went 2 years ago. He went the total opposite direction and went back up to the north and figured, the water might have cleaned up to the west, and it happened to have. And crushed it. So it's a calculated risk all the time. You're very right, very true about that.
It's one of the best tournament series. Well, the fact that it's a series makes it really incredible, but just between the level of fishermen or fishing teams, I say fishermen because there's a whole lot of badass ladies that fish it and they're incredible. But the level of teams that fish it and the combination of the teams and the fishing, really, the quality of fishing really at the end of the 9 days of the series, you can definitely see like, oh yeah, the boat that won, they really deserved to win.
They really deserved it.
Even though last year it was one fish between the series between you guys and the Max Bet, correct? At the end of the series, which is, I mean, there's not that goes down to just a detail or a little thing, but it's
because the year before, I think in our March tournament the year before, where I was on the team, not last year, but the prior year to that, where we won both Triple Crowns at one crack or whatever. We had put it all together at that time. Then we were really like hitting on all 12 cylinders, 24 in our case. Yeah. That we had been on the boat for a couple of years. We knew the boat really well. Everybody knew each other. Just happened to be our turn. That's going to be somebody else's turn this next tournament, and I don't know who it's going to be, and I hope it's I'm part of one of the teams, but that's a part of it. It's Costa Rica itself giving a great fishery. These great guys coming here to go fishing. That's what creates it.
Yeah,
it really does. I mean, it's boat one and plus the other.
It's pretty.
If you had a bunch of crappie boats coming here and the fishing was still good, it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, it's definitely. I don't know. I'm just happy to be there, being a part of it. I didn't get down last year to fish it, so I was super just jacked up to be there and
right on,
kind of feel it.
What's up, guys? This is Leo here. Sorry to interrupt the podcast, but I wanted to take a brief second to invite you guys to come visit us at the Miami International Boat Show. We'll be there February 15th until the 18th, so from Wednesday to Sunday. Besides that, we're also going to do a really, really cool live in-person podcast recording event. The location is quite small. It's in downtown Miami, so unfortunately we can't invite everyone to the podcast. However, we'll be inviting a select few people through email. These will be fans of ours, friends of ours. So if you really would like to join, shoot us a message on Instagram. Shoot us an email. You can email me or the team at team@billfish.site. Let us know you want to come by, and we'll make sure to send you an invite. Again, it will be in downtown Miami on February 15th. It will be invite only just because the location is very small. So you have to limit the amount of people that we invite. But if you really want to come and you're sure you can attend, please let us know. We're going to be doing a live product release. We're going to do video premieres and a bunch of other cool stuff at that event. So again, Billfish X-Hook Optics live podcast event, February 15th in downtown Miami. See you guys there.
But let's you guys second place this tournament, and 3 weeks now, and you'll be fishing in another one. But let's get into just your career a little bit. I know who you are, but I don't know much about your career beyond beyond when I started going to Costa Rica, 5-6 years ago. So I mean, could you just tell me how you started out fishing and how it evolved to the insanity that it has?
Thankfully, a lot of people I started my fishing with my dad. Really fortunate, had a little boat, and he got a little bit bigger, and he was really good at it. So it was really helpful. He did small things, basically between Palm Beach and the Bahamas, Walker's Key and West End, and that's kind of where he based his knowledge out of there. And we go to the Keys and go kind of a few other places too. And wow, he was just grained still me on just small little details about things. I loved watching him rig. I could see him twisting wire and making sea witches as a kid, and his love of what he did instilled on me. And then I went to go meet my friend, it was Jerry Crowley, way back. I mean, I think it was, I don't know what year it was. I hate to say. And he told me I sucked. I didn't know what I was doing, and I better go figure out what I was doing. And I hooked up with Andy Morris to go fish on the putt-putt in Virginia Beach. And I went up there. We caught some bluefish, caught some albacore. It was a giant run in the fog. I'm like, then we went to Hatteras the next week in June. I caught a 500-something pounder with wink, 19 miles out. I'm like, well, okay, this doesn't take that big an idiot. I'm gonna stay right here. And I spent the summer in Hatteras, the next couple of years in Oregon Inlet. Really fortunate to do a lot of 9 seasons in St. Thomas, and Isla Harris with Gary Stuve and, Bobby Grant. And I worked for Bobby for 11 years. And I think it's really my captains that kept me from grenading and suiciding or whatever I would have done as this crazy wild kid as a kid. All the guys that influenced me to stay on a straight path and work really hard at what you do and fish really hard. And I think those guys got to spend 4 seasons in Australia. And because of those guys, because of my friends, they're like, oh, you got to go. Just following guys like Bubba Carter around and Flash Clark and my guys that I looked up to as a kid. I was Randy Jendersy's very first mate on the Free Enterprise, Danny Scotty's very first mate on the Gina Lisa. Watched those guys grow as captains, and from my friends as mates to going up on the bridge and doing really well. I really didn't want to be the captain. I had a club in Chub Key I called the He-Man's Captain's Haters Club. I don't even let like the big captains in there, in my room, no, you guys got to get out of here, they make me pay for it, but I didn't care. Then I came here through Brendan Burke and Flash and Tim Schote, who were on the Magic in '93, and immediately took the Magic to Guatemala to be kind of almost the first person to fish in a diesel inboard out of Guatemala.
Oh wow!
What
was that?
I really enjoyed. Crazy! I got arrested my first month 3 times for shrimping out of season because they'd never seen outriggers on a boat with a diesel inboard.
They got
and they're like, "You must be shrimping out of season," because the only other Americans they'd ever known had a shrimp farm about 25 miles up the river. And it's, oh, you got to be shrimping. I'm like, no. By the 3rd time, the poor captain, because they'd seen me and the Navy had seen me, they're like, but what are you doing here? Well, I'm going fishing. You go every day. Like, who are you fishing with? Because I was an American with a Costa Rican mate with a Costa Rican boat. None of that was kosher.
Yeah.
And running out this gigantic river mouth or whatever else the shit we did.
Where was the
in times of Civil War? That was that. Now, it was very close to where the Fins and Feathers ended up being.
Okay.
It was called El Capitan with Paco Saka.
Okay.
And Paco. And well, there's one from Salvador, and this was Paco Marza, excuse me.
Oh, okay.
From Guatemala, he and his brother. And I had a piece of rebar that was my bow cleats, and I used a anchor for my stern, and I had to have a Guatemalan on there all night long to shake all the ice off of it every night, otherwise the boat would sink. That's kind of how we started off there, getting fuel and Civil War, a lot of guns, a lot of craziness, but great fishing. Guatemala was, start off there in '93 was tough. '94 got a little bit better because Bud Gramer came along and Flash, and there was a couple of local charter boats then.
When you say tough, just being the only one out there. Yeah.
Starting on the fish, being the only one out there. Well, Cuban Louis came along with a 31 Bertram, I'll call it the classic, but still it was kind of alone, but it was tough fishing, but it was also because the water was super green. And we didn't know which way to go.
I got you. And
we're going by what the Panga driver said. They're everywhere. Well, they got to be where they were everywhere. So, and I returned back to Costa Rica in '94, went out to Cocos Island with a lot of my friends out there. I'm like, wow, this is my Australia. This will make your knees shake. Turned around, went back to Guatemala.
Whoa, you gotta stop at the Coco Islands in the '90s. I gotta hear more about that.
Yeah, it was some really intense fishing to be able to go with the hooker and the Madam as the other side of the mothership, and big stripes and blue marlin fishing, and just what a crazy fishery that was.
At that time, were you able to fish right up on the island? Yeah. Gotcha.
No, not right up on the island before me, but it was 5 mile limit. So that was right on the 100 fathoms. Thank you very much.
Gotcha.
So basically, it was just 5 miles out there, and we had limited fuel sources then, but I did a lot of liveaboard charters out there in my 47 Buddy Davis. That was the biggest boat in Costa Rica at the time. But that's when I changed over from the Magic. I need to back up a little bit, because in '95, when Tim and I wanted me to set out to catch 2,000 in the season, and I was probably about 80% booked fly fishing. I'm like, holy crap, that's a lot of days, because I just can't see me doing both. But I really want to just beat Bubba's record. He was a great hero to me as a kid, and I really just wanted to beat his record. He had 1560. We beat it by June 10th. So I got to come home and have it. Really wanted him just not to talk, and it worked out really well. He didn't talk to me, didn't congratulate me, And the best compliment there is, yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And so and we went back there in October, broke a crank on the motor, pulled it out. I mean, it's just the crazy stories of the trees and getting the motor back out of the boat because it's a big job when you break a crank. Yeah, we were lucky we didn't have to do the whole webbings and everything. Put the motor back in the boat and caught another 600 fish before December 31st. I think we ended up with 2,140. Are you kidding me?
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, and then I stopped really counting after that, but we had some great fly fishing that year and none of my stuff at Coco's counted.
Yeah.
I caught 80 something marlins out there, but none of that counted. No, those don't count, But the whole Guatemala experience, man, I can't thank the guys there, the Guatemalans who looked over and watched for me and make sure I didn't get in any kind of troubles there because it was tough times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, since then, and the river mounts was just incredible. Yeah, you'd go out there and it'd be double overhead over your top of your little boat. And you're like, old Death Inlet. Thank God that's over. But those guys go out there. They go in a marina now.
Yeah, out of the harbor.
Thank goodness. I'm really happy that they're doing that. They don't need to be going out that river mount anymore. That was not really cool. But it was fun to, when I came back from the air, I started the more Coco stuff and I worked for Phil Price on the permit.
Was
for the next 7, 8.
Was Victor Ceballos from Guatemala going out there too? Do you know him that runs the King and I? He was
Victor was around there.
Yeah, he was telling me about his trips out to the Cocos.
I don't think he was going out to Cocos while I was there. Not that I know about,
Okay,
but I know Victor from Guatemala.
I got you.
You'd have to ask him about knowing Johnny from those guys. I mean, I walked down to Port of San Jose and stuff like that. Those people thought I was a monster. This blonde-haired, red-faced, this guy, twice as big as they were. They were just they had no idea what I was. It's just crazy. Fun times though, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Good times. Yeah, great times. And I really, when I came back to Costa Rica to run the permit for Phil, it was mostly about Cocos and Panama and expanding what I'd seen and what I'd wanted to do. And wow, he gave me the reins and we just ripped till 2002 together. Spent a short season with the Puerto Pilar, put that boat together for Enrique Capozzi after catching a record with him, and Fonda Heisinger and a couple other people during my time on the permit. And it kind of spanned this Los Sueños thing came along, like, wow, big boats. Okay, maybe a little bit easier than all of that I've been the charter fishing I've been doing. And
were you were you just charter fishing out of the bay there in Los Sueños? Or
I was actually in Flamingo. I started in Flamingo.
I got you.
And then I would spend the next 4 seasons in Playa Carrillo and Guatemala area.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would bounce back and forth between Capos and during the winter, our winter, January through March, April, May. I'd bounce between Capos and Playa Carrillo until I went back to Flamingo. There's times I'd start out my year in Golfito, come back to Capos, Piñas, and the Hannibal Bank, which I'd fallen in love with. I used to run back and forth out of Golfito there. I did a lot of pirate stuff back then, because it was a little bit easier.
Yeah,
because the paperwork, their boats weren't as fast then, and I had a radar and a GPS, which was a new concept for all of us back then in the early 90s, and be able to, I'd get away from them if I had to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stories. I mean, this May will be 30 years since I lived in Central America. Can't see me living anywhere else at this time. I'm still love fishing every day. And so probably not going back to Florida anytime soon.
Yeah. I could appreciate that.
Except for a grandson.
Yeah, your son lives in Florida, right?
Yeah, I miss him terribly. He was part of my crew on the Ohana. We put that together.
Yeah,
me and my wife, and I think we had a great crew and great times, man.
Did awesome I see guy. Recently he's been fishing in South America a little bit?
Yeah, he was in they were in Ecuador this weekend.
Okay.
They had some boat issues. I think they caught one big stripe. Last year they went to Salinas and fished the tournaments down there. They're going back again, I'm sure, this year.
Oh, cool.
Then they opened up a new marina down there. There's going to be some people going to check it out because those guys had some great fishing. My son and Mark Pagano.
Yeah,
big stripes and a couple of good blacks. Yeah,
good. I mean, it's just you hear the stories back in the 50s, and it just seems like a frontier. We don't we think a lot of
lost.
Yeah, we think a lot of the northern hemisphere here in the Americas, but we don't think about South America. And there's on both sides of the continent have some. Just who knows what could be available,
to be able to have a arena down there of some kind of access is going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
I know that Neil Isaacs went back there for a while to try to see the Cabo Blanco stuff, but man, listen to Mark and James last year. They had some pretty good fishing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know that Kenny Ross spent quite a few years there on the boats that he ran. But they have some great years and have some poor years. But that's conditions. That's what we live through here in Central America. We go through this years of Nino, Nina, and Central, and it all dictates how the fishing and where the fishing will be that year. People ask me early in the day, "Oh, what's the fishing going to be like this year?" I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Looks like it's going to be a Nina year. It could be cold green water and more marlins and less sails.
Yeah.
They're around, but just not going to come. Crazy, huh? I don't know how I've done it so long here. It just goes by in a flash, as you can see.
Yeah.
That year from year to year, trying to figure these guys out and always having fun with it. That's the most important part, is like keeping it fun. No question about it. Yeah. Can't be so serious. You're going to be like angry when you go home. I mean, what a blessing.
No,
to be able to go out here and have, even catch, if you only catch 5 in a blue one. I mean, wow,
Yeah, I mean, just the Costa Rica's. I mean, just speaking in Costa Rica, I really love Guatemala. The people have always been so nice to me. But anywhere in the Central America, it seems like you can find your trouble, definitely. But it seems like if you keep your wits about you, you'll find some good people and they'll point you in the right direction.
But you can find the other crowd pretty easy anywhere, but always Costa Rica is the most safe feeling when you're here. That you don't feel like there's the gun stuff on every corner. More comfortable. Just the life of the Pura Vida, the people. I think once they find their road, they're some of the nicest people in the world. Go way out of their way to just like, no, that's okay. But see, we're used as Americans just doing everything ourselves. But if they're not helping you, they're going to be like, what did I do wrong?
I kind of did notice that. Like I've noticed that. Like it seemed like if I would do something, they would help me do it, even though we would consider it a one-person job. It felt like sometimes that we'd be doing things by committee just for the simple fact that they just wanted the help.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta help. They gotta help you.
Yeah.
And my one deckhand, he's just used to, I don't know. We communicate in different ways, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of my crew too. Arturo Moreno, stepping up to take over my job basically with Galati, being the demo captain, and he's come so far. I mean, this guy's made it for Bubba Carter and Dave Nolan and fished with the Sea Angel for all those years. And man, what a great man he's come to be. I think that's probably one of the things I'm most proud of here is my crews. And I never had, I think I've only let go like 3 or 4 in 30 years. Always been some kind of change or something like that made us go our separate ways. But I mean, always so proud of Poyle and all the guys that I've had on my boats, and I see them still around and doing really successful. And a lot of the guys stepping up the bridge, like Clemico, who you fish with. Yeah. I known him and his dad and his brother since I moved to Costa Rica. I mean, that was right where my wife's from, and Flamingo and Brasalito, and to watch them come along and become great fishermen and captains and so professional. It's pretty cool.
It seems like a lot of good Costa Rican fishermen come from Flamingo. Is there any reason like Victor Clemico? I don't know a lot of them, but I feel like there's when I meet people.
Not Victor Julio. You're talking about Victor Julio?
Yeah, he's from Flamingo, correct?
Believe me, I know. He lived with me since he was 12 years old.
I want to make sure he was right. Yeah, that guy.
Oh yeah,
I got to fish with him a little bit on the Tranquilo, and man,
that's awesome.
That guy was.
That's awesome. What a great guy, huh? I love Victor Julio. He calls me his dad. Yeah, he's something else.
I feel like talking to you, I try to put fishermen in. I don't try to, but in my thinking, I put fishermen in kind of 2 different categories. There's the scientists and the artists, and like talking to you at the beginning, I feel like you're more of you put a lot of thought into it, and like but I feel like, and I don't think that Victor doesn't put a lot of thought into it, but it just feels like he goes out there and kind of just does it
naturally.
It's more natural.
Victor, what people never really believe in Victor Julio, what he does very naturally is he doesn't make more of it than what it is.
Yeah.
He tries to keep it very simple, and just the little things that he knows. He knows a lot of things, but he just keeps it very simple in his methodical way of going fishing. Like if he fished here today, he'd look at his current and say, maybe it's 2 or 3 miles more to the northwest for tomorrow, the way the current was taking me or not taking me, and where the bait was in hearing reports. He wouldn't go any farther than that. He would just go sit down over there. or he'd return to a fish where he had a bite on Wednesday, pre-fishing. There's a Bisbee stuff. Your dad knows all about him and his Bisbee stuff.
Yeah.
Where Victor would see a nice one 2-3 days beforehand. He would go sit on that area the whole time, either fishing for that one he saw, or he knowing that would be another one in that area.
Yeah.
And just break a lot of hearts. And he's always been really, really proud of him and the career he's put together.
Oh yeah.
And now running a boat that me as a kid was just the Lulam was an amazing piece of equipment. And like, I can't believe he's got that thing. But I saw him the other day out on it.
Beautiful.
Really proud of him.
Yeah.
You'll see that. You'll see the different areas of Costa Rica produce different kinds of fishermen. Flamingo, Playa Carrillo, Guanamar. There's just a host of them here. All those guys that we fished around there are all here making careers for themselves in Los Sueños.
Is that
The
because
guys from Golfito?
in the early days, the just that's where you fish for whatever reason? Gotcha.
Exactly.
And then they moved
exactly.
I gotcha.
Either usually they moved. I'm sure a lot of the guys who wanted Costa didn't ever want to leave their home to come down here to Los Sueños area. They made it a second home, but they're always in Guanacasteco.
Yeah.
They always want to be home. It's like the guys from Golfito. They come up here and they work and they go fishing, but man, they cannot wait till they get some days off to go flying home. I've seen it go both ways.
Yeah.
I've had my mates that want to go that I'm in Playa Carrillo taking a day off in Guanamar and they go running back to Flamingo. I'm like, okay, this is a change of pace.
Yeah.
But they're the local fishermen here. We're getting a lot more Herradura fishermen. A lot of guys from Punta Ranch were the beginning of the crop for our cruise for here in Los Sueños. Some great fishermen there too, because they're all their commercial background. So they all have different backgrounds being in the fishing industry, but they all grew up in it in some fashion or another. Very few just come from another faction of life and walk into fishing business, as you know, anywhere you are in the world. But I've never been around so many, except for in Cabo. There are so many good fishermen in Cabo San Lucas because there's so many guys too. Yeah. So of course a lot of them stand out just like they do everywhere else you are. That to get really good at what they do. And I've seen a lot of these Costa Rican guys, man, they're just such great people and very good fishermen. Yeah. They don't do things junkily. They don't believe in junk,
Yeah. And you can see it as the world gets smaller everywhere, but in our industry especially, you can see it translate. They go, you can see a Costa Rican anywhere fishing now.
Exactly. That's what's become too. The mates have gone further and further out from home. Someone you don't see for years and years, like, wow, what happened to what's his face? Well, he's been in so and so for so long, and it's going around the world now too. They're everywhere.
It's pretty well, yeah. It's just pretty wild where this industry can take
especially home for you in
anybody.
Ocean City.
Yeah,
a lot of those guys come there too.
Yeah, a lot of guys from there and a lot of guys from Isla as well. We have a lot of those guys, super talented.
Oh yeah, spent a lot of years in Isla. I got to fish with some great guys there. I was really blessed to start with Gary Stuve and Dan Kubiaks and Will Dixons and all the rest of the things that I did there. It's a lot of my base of fishing. Except for the one big factor, what I really wish we had back in those days, the artist circle of fishing.
Yeah.
And it would have been a big difference in our catches in the future. I know that it helps our fishery here because you don't see them floating all the time. You're not snagging them anymore. You're not cooking them in the eyeball, gut hooking them all the time. Occasionally you do. I didn't have any this tournament. I have a single stomach sticking out. I wish that we had that technology from all those years ago, because that started in Guatemala too. It was actually Peter B. and this guy, Brandon Walter. What was his fish name? I can't remember his name, but those guys brought it to Guatemala, and so I was like, man, if those guys are gonna catch them, I could do that too. So it worked out pretty cool. I had guys who wanted to kill me for using circle lugs in Costa Rica.
Oh yeah,
and then I started. Oh yeah, they were in Capos Boy. They were lined up on the dock. They were ready to jump me. I was like, big ones line up, little ones bunch up. I said, I'm doing it for my own self. I'm not telling you what to do on your boat. But I can't believe it that those guys can do it and I can't. No way. If they can do it, I can do it. I can do it better than they can. And we got better and better at it. And now it's become, as you know, an incredible tool for what we do as fishermen. I mean, if you do everything right, you're going to be in the 80s and 90s. You can do everything right with a 77-66, sharpened to where it takes your eyeball out. They're going to miss some, or snag them or hook them in the tail and all the other crap that used to happen back then. I
Yeah.
wish as a Harris we had those circle hooks back then. It would have been a big difference.
Yeah. Speaking of the circle
Although
hooks in the in conservation, not necessarily conservation, but in 30 years in Central America, you get a lot more pressure with the boats and everything. Like everywhere
and
up
smarter
and down
boats.
up and down the coast of Central America. The technology is just come in Costa Rica, it's come a different world, but even in Guatemala and other places, they're much more refined than they were, 30 years. They're on a different planet there. Has the fishing held up over the years? Have you felt like it's stayed as good? I mean, I can only imagine that.
It's kind of hard to say it got worse.
Yeah.
But the amount of fish that, let's say a typical day running home in Capos back in the 90s, there's definitely a lot less. How many more bites you get, I think, is dependent on, because of the electronics have gotten much better. I think your bites stayed the same or similar, sometimes better, sometimes worse. But the amount of fish has definitely declined. There's no question about it. There's just, and the size too. When I first moved here, I would never see an 80-pound sail. It would be like the smallest thing you'd ever seen in your whole, you would be like, what is that? And now to see to see 60-pounders all day long, and it's rare to see an 80 to 100-pounder. And I hear people say, oh, I caught 100 pounds. Like, yeah, you have to see how much it weighs. But for us in the beginning, it was all 150-pounders. Our blue marlins are slowly growing a little bit in the central region. It seems like each end of the coast, Golfito and Flamingo, we catch bigger ones. Playa Carrillo had a great marlin fishery. It's still really good, but it isn't what it always was. Because I believe that's our pressure keeping them from going that far up to those guys, sailfish wise. The marlins, of course, spread out everywhere. But generally, I'd say it's less than it was when I first got here. It's kind of hard to say not.
Yeah.
But still great fishermen. I mean, there's guys that fish on the Bank of States to catch a black marlin because that's what they want to do, and they don't care how many sailfish you catch.
Yeah.
Mike Higgins.
Does any of that has a commercial pressure increased over the years too, or is it?
I think it's decreased some. I don't think we're not, since COVID hit. Those guys took a beating during COVID, and they didn't have the resources, and they've been paid to stay home. I mean, it's still not helpful.
Yeah.
The Fed Cup getting the tuna seiners out of the 40 miles is a big deal.
Yeah,
I think all that stuff is helpful. I think we're seeing it throughout the Americas too. In Florida, the better fishing in the Bahamas, for here and there and everywhere, different kind of fisheries popping up that they never had before.
Yeah.
Yellowfins off the corner, this going on over there. It always was there, but not in the mass numbers that they're having now. And I think the less commercial fishing, what fishing have they ever protected that hasn't come back?
Yeah.
And Costa Rica has never been the most proponent of their billfish protection fisheries. But I don't know they don't see as many of them as they used to. There used to be long lines all over the place. And other things too, little weird stuff. We never see sea snakes anymore. What's up with that? They were everywhere when I first got here. At least see 2 or 3 a week.
Do you think
10.
that's just development on the coastline?
I think it's just a cycle. I think it's a cycle. Yeah, of course, everything has there's so many pure rainforest still areas here.
Yeah.
Coast-wise, still the local areas are an impact on the local fishery. And them guys still do pretty good rooster fishing and the cuberas. And I wish they'd all go home, leave my island to me again.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to happen.
Well, it's your fault.
Always
it's kind of your fault that it is the way it is. You were one of the first ones down there, so
yeah, the
word got out.
Bubba. I definitely followed Bubba here. He was a big mentor to me, and I followed him to Venezuela. I followed him to here. Some of my other friends, Flash, and those guys came here, and just to hear about the numbers in Costa Rica, and man, I had to go. I had to go try it out for one season.
Yeah.
Here we are. Can't wait till tomorrow. It's the way it is.
Pretty badass, man. That's
really cool.
Yeah. Well, I could talk to you all night, John. Man,
it was a pleasure. Anytime, man.
Pleasure to finally meet you.
Pretty stoked it was you too. I've always wanted to meet you, man.
Yeah,
the Blood Money was always over there when I was fishing over there with Mumford on the old Clamaholic, and
yeah.
But with Kyle, it was only about working and going to see deer in the afternoon. So look forward to getting back to your neck of the woods. Are you coming back next tournament?
Yeah, I'm gonna try. Yeah. So I'm hoping we're sponsoring, Hook Optics is sponsoring the tournament. So
Very cool.
my brother will be there, and hopefully myself. So
Very cool.
yeah.
Where
So
else would you want to be?
I don't know, man. I do have to say, shout out to the whole community there. The registration day, at our little tent there, the reception was incredible. So I got to thank everybody in Los Sueños. Ashley
Oh, very cool.
was incredible for us, like she always is for everybody.
And she an amazing girl.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But
I don't know
yeah,
how she does it.
I got to thank everybody. That the support was very enthusiastic there at the tent, and
Oh,
yeah.
Bill Royster, the visionary that he is, to put this whole place together and kind of keep it rolling, incredible.
Yeah.
Just the dreams, that's what it's about. So look forward to coming back, and anytime you want to give a chat, we're
Yeah,
always
man.
around.
Probably have to do that again. So awesome. Thanks.
Very cool.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it.